Hey everyone, welcome to the Whiteboard Entrepreneur Podcast, where I give straightforward advice to fuel the entrepreneur in all of us. Today I want to talk to you about the catfish, the cod, and the competition. And I heard this analogy the other day. Now, I'm going to tell you this story. I have no idea whether this is truthful or not. It was told to me. I took it at face value. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. But so don't go, teach this in your science class or something. But there was a story that back in the late 70s, cod, the fish, got very desirable in the U.S., right? Everyone's having these fish sandwiches and fish sticks and everything. And cod became incredibly popular. Well, they had to ship it, from, Alaska or wherever they get cod from, all across the country. And so there was this idea that, they were going to flash freeze it, ship it. Well, they started doing it and they realized that for whatever reason they'd get it and, they'd get the cod and it was all mushy and had lost its flavor. And so they're like, well, maybe it just needs to be fresh. So then someone got this idea that they were going to put these, rail cars together and put them on trains. And so they had this big, aquarium or whatever, and they filled it up with codfish and they shipped them across the country, and the cod were just kind of hanging out in the aquarium, right? They get to cross the country, then they, fillet it up, and then they were like, still tastes bland, right? It was like, it lost its flavor. And so someone got this idea that what they were going to do is put the natural predator in there. And I guess catfish like cod. And so they put the catfish in with the cod, right? So now they're in this, rail car going across the country in this aquarium. But the whole time they're like, bobbing and weaving and trying to avoid this catfish is trying to eat them the whole time, right? And so the cod gets all the way across the country. They get the cod out, they fillet it up. And they're like, finally, this sandwich tastes amazing. So what they realized is that the mussels and the cod were atrophying, right? And it was never being challenged and it wasn't growing. And so I was thinking about this, cod catfish competition, right? So I love competition, and we say that, and what that normally means is we like to win, right? Normally when we say we love competition, it means you like to be winning. What you don't like in competition is you don't like those teams that beat you. You don't like when your competitor is better than you, and it freaks you out. It freaks me out, right? I love to coach, I love to run businesses, and competition in the past, I used to think I was always trying to find this nirvana, right? This market where there was no competition, right? And I was realizing we're in the U.S. or that's what we're built upon is competition, right? You need that and it's unavoidable. And then as coaching, you want to have competition, but you always want to win, right? But you don't want that team that's better than you. And the other day I was coaching this game, and we're a really good team this year, and this team beat us. I realized that competition was making me a better coach and was making our team better, right? Because we were realizing wow, why were they good? Why did they beat us? What are we going to do different next time? How are we going to adapt? How are we going to overcome? And I realized that today, 2.5 weeks later, our team is elevated 3 or 4 notches because of this competition, because of this agitation. We have actually elevated as a team. And then I started thinking about my companies. And one of my companies in particular, we have a very big competitor that we run up against all the time. These guys are highly funded. They've been given $250 million in investment. And they're like this big gorilla in the room. And we go up head to head with them almost every time, like David and Goliath. And we're winning a lot. But I would tell you, we lose a lot too to this competition. And I'm going to tell you that the reason our company is as good as it is today is because we have this competitor who is applying constant pressure on us to become better. We've realized that our offering has to evolve and grow so that we can be not just equal with our competition, but better. We realize that our go-to-market strategy has to be better. And so every time that we go into these meetings, we have this competitor that we're fighting against. And so we actually have this motivation and this barometer, this benchmark that we have to beat. And it constantly makes us elevate. And I, for one, am happy because I've seen this competitor get better and better and better, I've noticed that we've gotten better and better and better. And if we didn't have that catfish that was kind of constantly, driving us, we would have atrophied as a company. But as it's been, we've got a great competitor that's making us even better. And soon, I'm going to tell you what, we're going to be the catfish. Soon, we're going to be the agitator. Soon, we're going to be the one that's eating those cod, right? And gobbling it up. But when we do, we have to make sure that we constantly elevate and have competition to drive us to become better and better and better. Just like if you're a coach, you don't want to go and enter a tournament where you're going to crush everybody. You want to go and enter a tournament where you're playing teams that are better than you so that you can get that stress test, so that you can decide, what do we need to work on? Hey, we think we're pretty darn good. Let's put it to the test. And only real competition can do that in your business, in your companies, and anything, in your sports and anything that you're competitive with. You need real competition to make you better. And so what does this mean for you? What does this mean for the listener right now? Right now, you could be coasting through school. Well, let me challenge you. Find someone that's better than you, right? Find someone that maybe has higher grades than you. Find someone to challenge you, someone that pushes you to be the best that you can be, right? If you're number 5 in the class, great, work to be number 1. If you're number 1, you got a big target on your back, right? Make sure that you stay number 1. Make sure that you have number 2 nipping at your heels, right? To make you and drive you better. Right now, if you're in the market, maybe you're sitting number 5, right? And you're like, there's no way we can compete with number 1, right? And so right now you listen to this and you're very intimidated, but you can certainly learn, right? You can start to learn from number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. You can learn what they're doing, and you can compete and understand why they're better than you, what you need to do to improve, right? And maybe you are number 1. Maybe you're sitting number 1 right now. Number 1 is a very dangerous spot because you have a target on your back, right? And you need to be aware that there are people that are competing with you. There are people that are nipping at your heels, and so you have to stay on your toes, and you have to be aware of what the competition's doing. You have to make sure that you're always innovating, driving, growing, and staying one step ahead of the competition. So this is about the cod, the catfish, and the competition. You're not trying to find a lake where there is no competition. You're not trying to find that lake, because if you find that lake where there is no catfish, I'm going to tell you what, there's a reason there's no catfish there, because it's a dead lake. It's dead. It's dying. There's nothing there. Don't be afraid of the lake where there's competition. Just make sure that when you go in, you're prepared to compete with the competition. I think what a lot of people are trying to do is their goal is to be that cod, right? Their goal is to kind of get to a place where there is no competition. There's nothing pushing you. And really what happens, as nature has shown us, you get fat and lazy and those muscles atrophy. And next thing you know, when competition does show up, boom, they eat you alive. Or what might be even worse and more painful is you just die a slow, painful, long death on your own. And I think a lot of times as entrepreneurs, we're striving for that. We want to not be pushed. But we need to look at the opposite. We need to look for things that push us. Look for things that drive you. Look for the competition. Look for areas to be better, because that stimulates muscle growth. That's how you grow as a company. It's how you grow as a team. It's how you grow in your life. It's how you grow at the gym. I'm Devin. This is the Whiteboard Entrepreneur Podcast. I know this is going to help.